I made this reel a few days ago for Instagram and everyone were asking me how I done it. In this video, I'm gonna break down this reel for you to see how easy it is to make these type of animations. This video is good for those who know the basic but struggle to start a project. Over time, I'm gonna show you more ways that you can apply and make your projects better. This is the first video, but if you would like me to break more of my personal projects, comment break more so I will upload more videos. Now, without any further ado, let's start. Alright, so here we are inside of Adobe After Effects and now let's begin. So I have this project file that we want to break it down together. So let's just watch it first.
AI is everywhere, helping doctors save lives, making cars drive themselves, even creating art. From smart assistants to life-changing discoveries, AI is shaping our future faster than we ever imagined. AI.
Alright, now the way that I usually work is that I like to split up every narration into parts so I can work faster. So as you see, I split up these project files into 5 sections and I worked on each one separately. So let's just start with the scene 01, which is the main one that grabs the attention. So everything starts with an empty comp, right? So when you want to make your project, you will have a screen more or less like this. So the way I usually animate my project is that I usually start with animating the text and then I will add the assets in between, and lastly I will add the transitions and effect to make the scene. Well, right now the first sentence was AI is everywhere. So I needed to sort of create a connection between the AI and everywhere. So I started with making the text, so I'm gonna highlight it in here so you can see. And it was a simple text that was getting revealed by the opacity animation. So AI is, and then I needed to animate a contrast in between. So I decided to add a shape layer that shows the contrast between the word AI. And now it was time for me to sort of add the elements to fill the compositions. And after researching, I found these robot hands doing a perfect job for me. So this was just a basic robot hand as you see right now in here. So let's just set it on full so you can see. And it was a noisy sort of robot hand that I will think it was similar to the artificial, and it was similar to the AI that I wanted. So I have just placed these two in here, and on that time it was just the matter of adding the camera animation into the scene. So this was the basic scene. As you see, I have just animated a basic camera rotation for each of these hands. So as you see, it's just an orientation just moving throughout the scene. So this was basic, and as you see, the basic scene was really easy to make. Now after that, what I have done is that it was the time that I add the sort of the impact. I have already explained in a few of my videos that when you want to take your audience attention to the next levels, you should start using the impact effects. So you can use the, for example, Minimax to sort of make this thing, or you can use the invert or tint effect. So this was the adjustment layers that I have added between the transition for the second scene. So let me just highlight it so you can see. So the Minimax basically creates a glitch effect in here, and the invert effect basically reverse the channels to the channels that you want. So I have just set it on the RGB for this video. So right now I have what I had was something like this, and then it was time to shift to the second scene, which was everywhere. So I've decided to add a text in here. So basically this was the bottom that I'm gonna reveal it for you, and the bottom is just simply was a shape layer. And now how I usually turn these you know, as 2D layers into 3D, I use the extrude plugin, which is free, and I highly suggest for every designer to install this plugin. I'm gonna, you know, put the link in the description so you can take a look at it, and please download it. It's gonna just save your time a lot. And basically what it does is just gonna copy the each layer, and it's going to use the index expression to, push it behind the main layer. So it will create a sort of an illusion of the main movement. So I have started with the text and I have done a match cut. So this was the everywhere. And then I started to add more, hands and robot shapes in order to emphasize that this is the AI and it's everywhere. Now, one thing that usually the pro designers do is that when an object is closer to the camera, I would say, is closer to the screen, you're going to use the blur or other effects to sort of not disturb the audience attention. So this small trick in here is going to make a difference. So I have decided to put these two on blur. Now, after these main scenes that I usually work on it is time to, add the texture to the design, which basically makes the design better. So I have decided to come with a simple black background, and then I have added this texture, which I can basically show it to you, reveal it in composition. So this was basically the texture that I had used for this video. So as you see, it's just a basic texture, and on top of it I used the curves effect to make it a bit darker, so it fits the overall design that I have in here. And lastly, I have just added some particles. So as you see, these are just a few dust revealing effect that helps us to sort of create these particles. That helps us a lot. Then what I have done, and which was the basically the coolest thing that you can do for your composition, is to add a color grade, which I have done it by using the Lux. Lux is one of the professional plugins when it comes to color grading your assets. So basically, I used a film grain, colorista, and again a colorista, and chromatic aberration, and lens vignette, diffusion, and lastly in haze flare. So this created this nice looking light that took the design into another level. Now, also one thing that I have done in here was creating the shake effect for the impact. So if I reveal the keyframes, you will see that when we have the animation, we will sort of have a shake movement that emphasizes to the next level. And creating the shake effect is pretty simple. So all you need to do is that let's just go towards a new composition, I will say. So this is my rectangle, and I want to create a shake effect for it. So the way that you are going to create a shake effect is that by creating a new adjustment layer, and you're going to apply the transform effect into it. And then what you need to do is that you need to hold Alt and click on position to set up expression. I'm just going to type the wiggle, which is the king of expressions in my opinion. And I'm going to write the 6 for the X value, comma. And then what you need to do before that, let's just add in a slider. And then I'm just going to pick whip this slider from the position of the transform to the slider controller. And then I'm going to turn it off. So this will basically create the shake effect that we want. But right now, let's just do it one more time because the expression doesn't really look right. So I'm just going to set a keyframe on position of the expression, position of the transform, wiggle 6, and then I'm just going to use the pick whip to pick whip it to the slider controller. So right now, when I change the slider, as you see, it will move the position of the transform. So we can use that to create the slider. So I'm just going to set a keyframe on a slider and 4 frames forward. Usually you want to set it between something 35 to 50. So I'm going to set it to 40, and then again in 3 seconds forward, 3 frames forward, I'm just going to set it on 0. And you can just apply it in the standard easings for these two. So this will create the shake effect for your, as you see, for your composition. So basically the first scene was done like this, but at the end, when I wanted to sort of create a match cut, I have created another null and I decided to zoom the entire composition to the camera, something like this. And after it was done, I have pre-composed everything and I call it scene 001. So this is mainly what I do, and main reason for that is it will, make me work faster. And because when you have too many layers, there is a chance that you make a mistake and ruin everything, especially when you are doing a lot of camera animations. And if you mess up with one camera and you ruin one camera, there is a chance that you ruin entire scenes. This happened to me multiple times. So when you pre-compose it, and it means that the scene is ready and there is no chance that you're gonna get back and mess it up. And if you do so, it's not gonna affect the rest of the composition. So as you see, when the zoom happened, what I did was that basically I have created a new composition, and it was just done with a white solid background. And I have just started with the text again. So that, as I have said in the earlier, I always start with the text and then I add the elements and then I move towards the camera and texture animation. So this was basically the text animation. And since I was zooming in, I decided to create a zoom out to sort of create the match cut between elements, something like this. And then what I have done is that I have just downloaded the heart animation. This is just a simple heart pumping animation, and I have used a camera again to just create a basic zoom in effect for the scene. And then it was the matter of adding the texture. So I went in here again and I have started to create a shake impact along with the invert to make the effect better. And on top of it, as you see, I have used the looks again, but this time I didn't apply for the entire scene, just for I have color graded for this one specific scene. So this just gonna create a better animation for you. All right, and then once it was done, I have moved the scene up with the help of the camera. You can see in here it's just a camera that moves up and also have an orientation for the second scene. So I'm just gonna reveal the second scene, which was basically a car that's driving on the road, and I have decided to give it a bit more animation by simply just animating the rotation of the camera. So as you see, this is just right now is getting controlled by the orientation of this camera in here. So nothing fancy in here. And I have decided to again add a color grading effect for this one. So as you see, this is the color grade that do the heavy lifting in here for this scene. And then if we change it, you can see that we will change into this third scene. Let me just again show it to you, which is basically an AI generation of a tree, and the reflection was done by basically duplicating this layer. So let me just show it to you how you can create a reflection. It was super simple. I have just duplicated the main layer. I have rotated for 180 degree, have created a mask, and then I increased the feather mask. And lastly, I turned down the opacity to 40%. So this was just basically in it. And then we had the shake impact like this along with the color grading. So this was for the second scene that I have just moved it up. And then when you go for the third one, you'll see that let's just open the pre-comp in here, and it was a simple animation that's showing the AI generation that's changing the lives. So every time you want to do is just a matter of the practice and looking at the references that you see on the internet, on Instagram, Dribble. This gonna help you to come up with some ideas. So basically this is just a moving scene, so that it starts from the basically two footage, and I have decided to add a bit more text into it as usual, and I have decided to give it a more secondary action by animating this shape layer from left to right. So this was just basically it. So as you see, and when we are creating the projects, there is no really, I would say, any secret, anything special. Every hard animation or animation that you see is not possible to do. It's just basically made with simple actions. And on top of it, right now you see that this is just an again transform layer that's doing everything within an invert effect. So you see that this momentum is making the animation. I try to repeat every these invert effects along with the shake effect in each scene to create the consistency between the designs. And this is really important to create consistency between your design. If you are using one element, try to use it in the other scene. And basically this is for the CRAP, or otherwise known as the crab design. So R stands for the repetition. You want to repeat your designs. You want to repeat your actions throughout each scene to make a sort of a cohesive design for yourself. And lastly, if we move towards the fourth scene, which is in here, you'll see that it's same as this, scene 2. Basically, I have started with the text again, and then I have pre-composed a character in here with a tint effect. So as you see, this is nothing. Basically, a businessman standing on top of shape layer that is rotated by 90 degrees on the Z-axis. And then a camera movement, which is basically the simple camera movement that we can possibly make. It's just a zoom in effect, nothing, special in here. And then on top of it, again, we used a invert effect to create the repetition, and of course the color grading that was done by the lux effect. So as you see, the lux effect is gonna make a huge difference when you are using it or when you're not using it. So as you see right now, when I'm not using it, it looks flat, but when I'm using it, it looks way cinematic, I would say. And lastly, what we have in here, I have just zoomed this comp by a simple scale, and then I have just added the text at the end faster than we imagined. So as you see, this was the entire project file, and it was done with simple camera animations and along with text. And a lot of times you can just achieve these type of animations, which is right now trendy and everyone likes it, with just a few steps. So this was basically how you can make these type of projects. And of course the project file is to download on my Patreon. You can check that out and download it if you like. And I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave out a like and subscribe to the channel, as it would help me out a lot. Thank you so much. Goodbye.